You ready?
Okay, ready.
Week 2. Let's do it.
Hey everybody, and welcome back to week 2 of our Real Estate for Introverts podcast. Again, my name is Marisa Lindsay, and here we have
Dubs, the one and only, of course. Just to give you guys a quick recap, last week we talked about not doing the same old, same old. We want to bring a fresh approach to real estate that really fits our introverted style using the magic feather of social media. And we talked about, one of the first steps you need to do is finding your people. When you find your people, then you can start thinking about increasing your footprint and getting in front of your people.
Right. So when I first got started with my groups, I had just moved here from Alaska here to Colorado Springs and did not know anybody besides my kids and their friends who are not buying houses.
Not yet.
None of them are buying houses. So what I did, because I did want to bring value, I did want to lead with value. And so every morning I would wake up and Google 3 things about Colorado Springs. Not only to share that information within my groups, but also so that when I was out and about and having conversations with people, or if people reached out to me and they had specific questions, I knew what was going on with the city. Even though I hadn't been here for long, it just kept me very abreast of what was happening with, road systems, schools, businesses, things like that. So I would wake up and Google, what did I Google? I Googled school districts in Colorado Springs. And so that would tell me about funding, if anybody was building a new school, what was happening with the teachers. And it was just keeping me informed so that if somebody did say, hey, we're going to be moving there next summer, what about the school districts? And of course, I'm a realtor, so I can't speak specifically on quality of schools, but I can talk about what's going on with the schools. So people did appreciate that. Another thing that I would Google was new businesses. I wanted to see how Colorado Springs was expanding. And so through that, you could easily tell that Colorado Springs was quickly expanding to the north and to the east. So at this point, it's been 4 years since I got started, but Colorado Springs has definitely merged with Monument at this point. It's like all one conglomerate, I guess.
Yeah.
And but it really helped when I was explaining to people the growth of Colorado Springs and how that affects road systems. It was very, very helpful with them making their decisions on where they were going to buy their homes, what neighborhoods they wanted to be in, because if they were commuting all the way down south, they did need to know that as the population was growing quickly on the north side of the Springs, that, hey, you only have Mark Scheffel really to commute south, and that's a 2-lane road. There's several lights, no fun for anybody. So it just kept me very, very informed. And as I was finding information out that I knew that I would want to know if I were moving here, I would share it within my group.
Yeah, that was going to be my question. How did you come to those questions?
Well, because because I've moved so many times, like 17 times. I'm like, so what would I have wanted to know moving to a new city?
Okay.
What information would have been super beneficial? So I know that when my husband and I bought sight unseen in Alaska, we bought in this tiny little town called Chugiak, which was just, I guess, north or south of where we were working. And I would have liked to have known more information about the schools and commute time and how the one highway in this area, like how congested it was, and just super helpful information.
Yeah. Okay.
And then, so I would Google those things every morning. I called it the Google Guru because I really didn't know anything about the Springs, but I knew everything that I Googled. And so, it just made me feel, how it is when you walk into a situation and you feel like you know more than most people. Like you just carry yourself differently, right?
Yeah, sure. That makes me think of one experience I have with that, especially in the coaching world. I remember the moment this happened. I had never really been an insider with sports or anything. My family didn't know that much about sports, but I was lucky to get a Division I scholarship. And then I was blessed or cursed with multiple coaches in my time playing ball in college. So by the time I left college, I had all these perspectives And the moment, every time I was traveling and would drive by a softball field, it didn't matter who was out there, like what names were across their chest. Like I knew I could step in and have the authority to speak into that group, into what my past situation was. Like you were saying, what you would have wanted moving into a town.
Right.
And I just contrast that so much with like where I was, 5 years ago, even as a college athlete on the field. It's very different once you become that coach and know you have the value to deliver. Not that I always wanted to deliver that value, especially from the, lifted status of being a coach. Do you want to know why I didn't really want to be a coach?
Yeah.
Okay, well, first of all, I'm an introvert. I don't want to stand in front of people and talk to them. Number one. But number two, most coaches are assholes. I don't know if we're allowed to cuss on this podcast.
We just did, so here we go.
If not, we can just change it up to most coaches are self-focused instead of other-focused. They really, as an athlete, it just was so distasteful to me. Not to say I didn't have great coaches who literally impacted my life. I became a coach for a reason. But I didn't want to be that guy. I didn't want to be like them, the arrogant, know-it-all, everybody look at me, you're so welcome for even gracing you with my time.
Right.
And I've always heard, once you're on the other side, once you're a coach, they would tell us this has nothing, you'll get it, you'll understand why we're like this, da 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 da. And it's like, no, I became a coach. I was a coach for 10 years, and I still did not appreciate how they treated or talked amongst themselves on the backside. Did you ever have an experience like that, like with realtors? Like
with real estate coaches?
No, just with real estate agents. Because I also am like, real estate agents, I don't like the way they talk. I don't like who they are. They're so salesy. Get off my Facebook page. Why are you here? Like, go away. Go away.
I mean, I feel like there are people like that in every, like even as a soldier, in the military community and then in real estate community. And so there are always those people.
That's fair. There are always those people. But, I feel like what happens in our brains, we don't want to step up in front of those people, at least me, because I'm seeing those people who are established and doing it the same old, instead of realizing the value that I have and being willing to step up and deliver that to anybody I can help. So when I finally changed that click for me and I was like driving by the fields, I was like, oh, yeah, well, I got good stuff to give. Like, I know I can help those athletes, I can help those families, those coaches be better because I have learned so much. And I really shouldn't be afraid to fail because those other guys aren't doing it so great right now. So I can definitely step up and deliver for that.
It makes such a difference, the way that you carry yourself and how you feel you can approach others when you know you carry value.
Yeah.
And okay, I'm going to give an analogy. So I look at groups like being on stage. Because I talk about, how to do these things, these processes, sometimes I'm put on stage. And what I like about that, even though I don't like to be the center of attention, hate it. I didn't even get married in front of people. Like my husband and I hiked to the top of a mountain by ourselves because I disdain being in front of people and being in this, like the center of attention. Like can't stand it. So that being said, I do appreciate being on stage though to provide value to people, because when I go into a conference, like you're not going to count on me to go out and just mingle and meet a lot of people.
Yeah.
I'm not going to talk to anybody. I'm going to be the person in the corner who's like standing by themselves, and it makes me uncomfortable when there are big crowds. And so I kind of find the one person that I know, and then I'm glued to their hip, and then that's that. But when I go on stage and people hear what I have to say and they appreciate the value that I'm providing, then when I come off the stage, instead of me having to go out to people, they come to me. And I love that because kind of what I've been coaching, you do find your people. And then my people do come to me after I come down off the stage. They're like, oh my gosh, Marisa, I relate to everything that you said. I'm also an introvert, or I also wanted to get into social media. I don't know how to do it. And then, you know, we have that relationship because I've led with value, not a sale. And so it's the same thing within the groups. The groups is like, it's like being on stage where you're in front. Yep. You're in there every single day providing value. You're not reaching out to any single one person. You're not like, hey, so-and-so, or, you know, messaging people, hey, you're new to the group, hi. Like, you're not messaging anybody. You're just putting out what you have, the information that you have to give, and then people come to you. And that's the best thing, because I feel like for a sales industry, this is an amazing way to make it work for our personality. Yeah. I'll never get out and go try and sell myself face to face with somebody. It'll just never happen. It makes me really, really uncomfortable. But if somebody approaches me based on the value that I've provided and wants to have a conversation and wants me to provide them more value, like, I'm all about it.
No, that's so cool. It's counterintuitive, but I like it. As an introvert, if you have that value and you step up on the stage of your Facebook page, then you don't have to be salesy. You're putting that value out.
Right.
And then your people come to you.
Exactly.
That's actually a great metaphor. First of all, good delivery of the value. Right. There's nothing better than a metaphor, but we'll touch more on that next week. That metaphor makes me think of my favorite band, 21 Pilots. They're pretty big now.
Right.
But when I first discovered them way back in 2015, I remember watching these videos of them performing even before I had discovered them. And there was only 9 people in the audience. But they are so into their performance. They are absolutely delivering on what they believe in. Their music is intentional, purposeful, and delivers that connectedness that really, and it got me. So seeing that they performed like that, whether they were in front of 9 people or 90,000 people, makes me think, okay, maybe I could do that. Maybe I can just step up and provide that value, that performance, and do what's important to me, providing value to other people, and eventually the people will show up.
Exactly. So I will warn you all, like, when you have these groups, you don't start out with like 2,000 people. When I first started my groups, I remember that I think I had like 35 people in one of my groups, and no one had ever commented or liked any of my posts. None of them had. Jeez. And I remember like waking up one morning and I had a post the previous night. I have no clue what it was about, but I was excitedly let my husband know that I had like 7 views. Like, when you're an admin of a group, you can see how many people had seen it.
Yeah.
And I was like, yes, 7
views, yeah.
And I just kept going though. Kept providing the value, and eventually the views turned into likes, and eventually the likes turned into comments. And then what you're really going for, and this is kind of how you can tell you've started to connect with people and that they're really absorbing what you're putting out, is when they start talking to you in their comments. And they're like, oh my gosh, Marisa, I feel the same way. Like, this happened to me. And they start, I don't know, it's this weird thing that happens where they feel like they have a relationship with you, and they start talking to you through the comments. And then the next step above that, because there are lurkers in the group who only view, never like, never comment, never do anything, but they reach out to you and they start off the conversation as though they already know you. And so they're like, hey Marisa, so, you know, I was really thinking about the post that you made the other day. And I'm just like, who are you? What post? What group? Because I have several. And that happens a lot too.
Gotcha.
So I love that metaphor with the bands, because you you continue to perform, deliver, provide that value, regardless of how small your audience is. Even if you're starting with 3, just keep in mind that's 3 people who didn't know you before who know you now.
I actually really like this reframing because I think even in my own journey in social media, trying to increase my footprint, I have a lot of pressure on myself to have these perfect posts and everybody needs to like them. Otherwise, I'm not delivering value. And kind of going from the stage metaphor, thinking about like, hey, our 21 Pilots really is good. And then you're tying in with, okay, it's only 3 views. That actually helps. Like I can feel myself relax thinking about putting stuff out there because, hey, like just getting started. Like, what is it that they say? A journey of 1,000 miles starts with 1 step. And I'm like trying to do the whole thing. I'm trying to be on like mile 999 when I make that first post and expect to have all these views and all this interaction when really it's just going to be 3 people. I just got to get out there, deliver value for those 3 people. Everybody else will probably just ignore it, right? They won't care.
Ooh, okay, keep in mind, because I hear this all the time. That's something that's people will commonly message me about, other realtors who are trying this new method.
Yeah.
They're like, but Marissa, like, I don't want to come across as like annoying. I don't want to post too much. What do people think? What if it's not perfect?
Yeah.
And I'm like, y'all
First of
are
all, I feel
just
attacked.
starting. Like, I didn't even say your name. So, but I'm like, nobody sees your post. You're just getting started.
Just 3 people.
Facebook is not your algorithm friend yet. So even in a group of 25,000, because you're just getting started, most people will not see your post. I would almost guarantee that maybe 1% will see your post. As you continue to post more and more and more, then more people will. But you have to become like Facebook, friends with Facebook. Like, because the algorithm needs to be in your favor. The only way that that's going to happen is if you're posting more. So have no fear. Like, post away, get in your reps, because when it really, really counts and you have all the views, by then you will have so many reps under your belt, you'll be an expert.
Yeah. Well, this has been helpful for me. I'm excited to go.
Good.
Get my post in, deliver that value, step up on my little stage for those 3 people and just really bring it. So
that's what we have for this week, providing value. But next week, what we're going to touch on, and it's super important, is the way that you deliver that value. Because just because you can have all the information in the world, I can be an expert on Colorado Springs, but if I don't deliver it in the right method, people are going to see it still as salesy. So we're going to figure out how to combat the sales method and how to really create those authentic relationships, genuine relationships that do create that opportunity for people to reach out to you. So join us next week. Thank you again for being here. We appreciate you so much.
bye, everybody.
Bye.